Hey, how's life? How's the weather? How's your cow? I don't know about you guys, but high school was a mess for me. Started in grade 7 and I made it. I graduated at the end of year 12. All good. One of the things that I spent a lot of time doing in middle school, grades 7 to 9, was playing handball. It's basically this game where you got 4 squares, you got a tiny ball that's the size of your palm, and really bouncy. Bounce it in squares, you got ace, king, queen, and dunce. Dunce is obviously the lowest. The goal of the game is to make your way up to ace and stay there as long as possible and annihilate everyone else. I was actually really good at handball. Kinda surprising, I know. No one expects me to be the athletic type. I remember in grade 7, basically everyone played handball, because we were all confined to this one small area which had nothing but a bunch of handball courts. Naturally, there were a lot of fights, a lot of handballs got kicked and lost in the creek. It was an interesting year. I basically played handball all the way through to about halfway through grade 9. I didn't really have many friends. It was sad. And then after that, I think I just focused on studying. And I'm like, screw having friends. I'm just gonna go live in the library and be a hermit. So that's what I did. Honestly, I just really sucked at engaging in conversations with the other girls in my grade in particular. And none of the boys wanted to have any conversations with me because I'm a girl and girls don't care about superheroes and video games and stuff. Yeah, so that was fun. I remember in grade 7, a bunch of boys decided to spray paint one of their skateboards over the lockers. You can guess that led to suspension. Good times. And another time, at the end of the year, they decided to have a water balloon fight. As you can imagine, that didn't go so well with the teachers either, and they had to come back during the holidays and do cleaning. Sucks to be them. During the last week of term or last week of school in general, we'd usually just play lots of games in class. We'd play stuff like heads down, thumbs up. Yes, it's a primary school game, but we still loved it anyway. And then there'd be like Mafia, Scumbags and Warlords, bunch of other crazy card games. It was lit. Last day of chemistry in grade 11, we got to make ice cream using liquid nitrogen. It was delicious. I've never had so many sprinkles in my life. Also, I was a very unlucky child in terms of my locker placement, because for 2 years straight, I kid you not, I had a massive puddle in front of my locker. And like, oh man, I had to do the splits to reach across, get down to this tiny little box, and pull my books out. And yes, I did drop them several times. And my hecking fabric pencil case just got soaked one day, and I was so upset, but I didn't tell anyone. And I just had this wet pencil case that I took around with me the whole day, just silently crying. Good times. What else was there? Since I was a complete loner, I would just wander around, or I'd sit silently in a corner and listen to people's conversations, imagining what it's like to have friends. And I made this game where I would count the number of times other students used the word like, because it is unbelievable how much some teenagers will just say like in all their sentences, every second or third word. And so it was like, and then I was like, and he was like, and it was like so amazing. And oh my gosh, I wanted to die. I mean, I already did anyway. It was frustrating. I remember in grade 9, our science teacher had to ditch us for some random grade 12 class. And so we had a new teacher with us for our last term of year 9. And he was actually amazing. He was one of our favorite teachers ever because we do experiments all the time, and he let us watch Guardians of the Galaxy at the end of term, even though it's an M-rated movie, and isn't that for like 15 plus, but I was 14. Feel like such a rebel, hey? At my school, we had a super expensive tuck shop. So a tuck shop is basically a canteen or whatever the heck you guys call it, where you buy food from the school if you don't pack your lunch. I always packed my lunch because honestly, I'm not a millionaire. I can't afford a hecking $5 cup of chips. A lot of kids used to steal from that tuck shop. No surprises there. But I was a chess player, and so I would go to tournaments every term, and every other school had the cheapest tuck shops ever, and they had better food there too. So, of course, I would take my money with me to every single chess tournament just so I can buy the cheap stuff from other schools. It was great. I loved it. So, in Australia, the sun is a real issue, especially in my state, Queensland. It's literally called the Sunshine State, and skin cancer is one of the biggest issues here. So we have to wear a hat. And we always had teachers roaming around at lunchtimes to make sure that you were wearing your hat. If you weren't, you went to C21. Hat detention. Yes, that is a real thing. Teachers will give you a detention for not wearing a hat. Even if you're in the shade, it doesn't matter because you're not wearing a hat. Most students would just go to the library so they didn't have to wear a hat. Honestly, kids would steal hats from bags and stuff, or they'd just lose them. So a lot of the time there were plenty of kids who just didn't have a hat at all because some doofus decided to steal it. And most girls just didn't want to wear their hats because they didn't want their hair to get ruined. Typical. On the topic of detentions, there was also the formidable Wednesday. Yes, students were terrified of getting given a Wednesday after school detention. The worst thing you could ever imagine. Now, I've heard that weekend detentions and stuff do exist as well, but Wednesday after school detention just seems horrifying to me. And of course, we have to wear uniforms. I mentioned this in the previous video because in Australian schools you just have to wear the uniform. It's really annoying. And my school had rules about the length of your skirt being above the knees. This is a very common thing. It's like, if you're kneeling and your skirt doesn't touch the ground, detention. And I wasn't exactly a short girl either. I was a tree. And I eventually reached the point where there were no skirts, new or secondhand, that were actually long enough to go below my knee. Like, the waist of the skirt got wider as the sizes went up, but the length stayed the same. Why? Does no one realize that some girls are taller than 170 centimeters? Yeah, it was annoying. But it's okay, because I still didn't get any detentions, because I was a good student and teachers trusted and respected me. By the point I'd reached grade 12, I was sick of school. And so was everyone else. One of the most common phrases I heard hanging out outside classrooms was, "I'm so tired." Everyone was just done. We were sick of school. We didn't want to hear about it ever again. The entire of grade 11 and 12 was just so draining, and everyone was so tired, it was sad. But it's okay, because in grade 12, I was a prefect, because I'm so cool, man. I was an academic prefect with one of my friends, and we were pretty cool. We made trivia challenges, and we tried to organize study groups, and all this studying for QCS, which was this big bunch of year 12 exam things that you have to take in Queensland. But they're getting rid of the system because it sucked. And yeah, it was pretty fun, I guess. Except that I put too much effort into it when I really didn't need to. In year 12, I had the best English teacher. No joke, she was amazing. She was the one teacher that no one could help but love, despite the fact that she was an absolute savage. She would roast students in every class and talk about how much she really just didn't care about the education system or anything, but she knew her stuff. She knew the content like the back of her hand. She was very intelligent. But honestly, she'd been teaching longer than any of us had even been alive, so of course she knew her stuff. And she still let me get away with just writing whatever I liked. Like, for my final English assessment, I kid you not, I wrote about YOLO. Even though it's a dead meme, yes. I wrote a very beautiful, sarcastic piece, and I still got a good grade, so yay. What else? Honestly, I didn't do much in high school except have panic attacks and cry in the corner like the loner I am. So yeah, keep smiling, stay in school, don't do drugs, please survive, and brush your teeth. Spaghetti-o out.